recently received this locomotive from eBay, and it turned out that it just needed a little bit of care and attention, and I think there was some friction in the motor housing which I sorted, and it now runs really well. But the one thing about this is that it has these variously called knuckle couplings, or as I found out, I think they're called MicroTrains couplings. I had never come across these before, and I now found out that these have been added. If I bring the locomotive up, you might just see how the front of this bogie has been cut off, and this coupler has been mounted onto the underside of the body, and the same at the other side. Now, I have a wagon which has MicroTrains mounted couplers, which are these knuckle couplers, and it means that I can now run these two together. And I thought it would be interesting to at least try and get another coach. A while ago I did an unboxing of boxcars video, and one of the boxcars I have was this one, which had bogies with no couplers on them. And in fact I have one of the bogies here, taking the wheels off. And then I realised that these bogies can take these MicroTrains couplers. So I recently went on eBay again, and I found this. It's a pack of 2 pairs of Magnumatic, they're called, which are those couplers. Now it says body mount, but I think these can be bogie mounted as well. And these came from From Models. I'm not quite sure where they are. From Model Centre, you just about make that out. Really good service. So I'm going to try and fit these couplers onto 2 bogies so that I've got a second freight wagon, that I can hook up to my Union Pacific locomotive. Let's have a look and see what is inside the bag. So carefully tip the contents out, make sure there's nothing there. One thing that did come was this leaflet, which is called Coupler Assembly Instructions, and it gives you a breakdown of different parts. So you'll find that there's a piece of sprue. It's got the contents of the top, bottom and the coupler for one, and similarly here, and in fact there are 2 pairs. So I can now possibly fit couplers to 2 coaches, which will give me a longer consist when I'm ready. So I'll put one of these aside. There's a little capsule containing very tiny springs. Goodness me, don't they scare you just looking at them? Eh? Can you see them? They're half the size of Farish brush springs, so there are a couple of thicker ones. I don't know what those are for. And in here, these knuckle couplers have kind of hooks that kind of down like this, and the coupler fits about here. Apparently that's to aid magnetic uncoupling. And there are in fact a number of little screws. I've counted 5 of them, which suggests 1 for each bogie and 1 spare. that means they're likely to go missing. Oh dear, I have to be careful. So, let's have a look at the instructions. It shows you there how they go, in the order they go, and this little spring I mentioned seems to fit in this keyhole shaped gap, and that obviously provides some tension. So I'm going to just take us a few minutes to read this thoroughly, and then we'll have a go at building up one of these couplers. So I'm going to have a go at building up these magnetic knuckle couplers, and I'm going to try and fit them onto this. This is a little caboose I got along with a job lot of other freight wagons, and as you can see, it's only got one bogie. The bogie itself is not held in with a little plastic pin, but it's held in with a screw, and as you can see, the other bogie is missing. Not only that, but if you look at this bogie here, it has no coupler attached. It looks as if the coupler has been cut off, because I can just see in there, when I had a look, remnants of another coupler. But I have got this other bogie, which I found somewhere else, so I've decided to replicate removing the coupler box. The reason being that if I fit this on, like so, and think of where these knuckle couplers go, they're going to be right underneath the lip here. So I will now do what it says here, and that is body mount the couplers in this area here, and the other side, this area here. If you look closely, I've already measured this up, and I've scored a point midway between the two ends on both sides, and I've marked on this one just a little prick just about there, which I think will be the centre of the body mount coupler, and that's where I'm going to drill and mount the retaining screw, which is this one here. It's a millimetre diameter, it's screwed, so I'm just going to cut through that and drill, and hopefully that will stick. There's not a lot of leeway in the depth here, but by the time you put this through the coupler, it should just be enough to hold it. I'm starting off by drilling some 0.8mm holes at both ends of the caboose. There we go. And now I'm going to use a 1mm tap to hopefully take the body, the coupler retaining screw. It's only thin plastic, so it shouldn't take too long. There you go, I've now found a location for that there. It'll probably need glued because there's not really much purchase on it. However, it will get me done. This is only an attempt, it's only a trial run, just to kind of get this caboose operational, and because I'm not running a lot of American outline wagons and freight anyway. And now to actually start building one of these. These are the parts for one coupler. These two form the housing, and these two form the arms. If I can show you, one has got the knuckle and one has got what they call the trip, no, not the trip pin, it's called the lip. So this here is the lip and this is the knuckle. They go together inside this. This is the trip pin, which kind of hangs down and it's magnetic metal, so the magnet can make it twist. And the springs, what I found is there are 8 of these springs inside for 4 couplers. That suggests there's a high probability that you're going to lose one of these. So I kept out 2 just to be on the safe side. Hopefully I won't lose any, and hopefully at the worst I'll just lose one of them. And in here is the mounting screw for the whole assembly. So let's keep that little tray aside, and using my sharp knife just carefully remove the pieces from the sprue. And I've also learned that you shouldn't really throw these away. If nothing else, they're good for chopping up and making it look like a load of scrap. You can colour them up. So a little bit of smoothing down where the sprue was. Take the bars off. And the last piece here. Now for assembly. Instructions say put this into the knuckle section. So the knuckle section will be like so. So this pin will come up from underneath. Goes through the hole just designed to take that, and a bit of a squeeze. Oops. There we are. The solution, when I thought about it, was fairly simple. I simply straightened the bar to give me better purchase in the jaws of the pliers, kept it straight down, perpendicular with the bar, it slid in, and then I can just simply bend it to shape. Okay, let's carry on. Now for the lip pin. The lip pin also takes the trip pin, so the lip and the knuckle are opposite. This goes in here and through, and they sit top of each other, and that forms your knuckle. Now to assemble the coupler housing. I've held it on here to keep it steady, and the keyhole slots in the coupler assembly fit over the retaining hole, and the pin, the trip pin, very conveniently fits into the supporting compound. And this rectangular slot at the bottom of the keyhole is where the spring goes. I'm trying to make that sit as far forward as it possibly can, and now I'm going to try and fit the spring. Just trying to pick it up from my receiving tray on the shaft of this small screwdriver, and oops, try and get it again, there we go, slide it into the rectangular slot. It has to be, of course, compressed, so I'm going to use my craft knife to try and push it down, and it's come out the other end, so I imagine this will be a difficult operation because they're so small. And again, let me see, I've got it sitting in the slot, trying to push the front end down while compressing the spring. Oops, and it's turned again. So in there, in there. Compressed and down, nearly there, and I think that's it. You see the spring has been compressed, pressing against the hole here and the back of the coupler mount. The next operation is to fit the coupler mount casing top, which is this piece here. The lug you see at the back fits into the recess in the housing, and at the front lip there are two small rectangular gaps which are held by two pins on each side of the housing. So I'm going to carefully put this into there, slide my tweezers out the way, and then carefully slide it into place. I'm conscious of the spring. I'm pushing down. I should feel a sort of click and a click. One click. I'm looking for another one. Stayed there. Coupler seemed to be working. Okay. I'm now going to attempt to remove it from the mounting. It's a little bit of a confession time, people. I've made a total pig's ear of this whole thing. After going to all the bother of eventually assembling the coupler mount with all its intricacies and difficulties, when I came to fit it on here, I discovered that I'd misaligned the hole because I did not take into consideration this forward lip in the coupler mounting, and because it's going to sit there, it seems reasonable to assume that it's going to sit flush against the side of the caboose, which means that if I just line it up there and have a look inside, you'll see that it misses the hole I've already made, but there's just a little remnant of the hole there. So if I put another hole, it's going to be too wide to hold the screw. So I've done the same on both sides. That means I'll probably have to glue this in place when it's finished. That's not such a big problem really, because this is going to be mine running in my layout the way I want it. So as long as I don't gunge up the coupling, I don't think that should be a major problem. One lives and one learns, supposedly. Anyway, let's get back, see if we can get this fitted in this way. And after a bit of a struggle, I've got it fitted. It's slightly off centre, but I might just be able to tweak that while the glue is wet. It's slightly off centre, because I was trying to hold it, and then I realised I needed the screw anyway to hold the two pieces together, and so it's in there and it's kind of working. Whew, what a struggle. So, one down, one to go. And then there were two. That's the first one. That's the second one. This one took me 10 minutes. From the time I cut off all the sprue to get to that stage, this one took me 2 hours. Guess what took the most time? Those little springs. Never mind, I've got it done, so all I need to do now, fit the bogies, we'll get this on the track, and see how it runs. So here we go, 2 new couplers, the original bogie. As you remember, this bogie was missing, so was the pin for holding it, but I've got a replacement bogie and 2 wheel sets. So the proof to say is in the pudding, so let's put it in the track and see if we need any custard. Right, I've got the caboose on the track, and I'm just going to back this consist up to see what happens with the couplers. Right, well, that didn't work too well, but that's okay. So let's see if I can manually couple them up. This one seems a bit stiff. I'll just put them in there. I'm just having a look to see that level they look but much the same height. So let's see if I can get it to go. And something's stopping it. Okay, right, so that's the locomotive on its way. I'll just come out and we'll see if we can pick it up as it comes round. It's going up the side and up the back. So let's just come in and we'll watch it come around. Just bring it a little bit faster. And here it goes. And the caboose is still attached at the rear of the consist. I'm just going to round up this video on these MicroTrains couplers. This is a 1025. Apparently there are others with different series of numbers, and they come sometimes equipped for various models. Anyway, this is the 1025. I fitted 2 sets from this onto this little caboose, which I believe has given it a new lease of life, especially my track. I fitted them body mounts, front and rear. I had to modify one of the bogies, the other one already modified anyway. So this will be quite happy for me. I've got a locomotive with this coupler, I've got a couple of wagons with the couplers, and I'll just be able to keep them together and run them whenever I feel like running them. Overall, what do I feel about MicroTrains couplers? Well, I do not want to replace any more. I'm quite happy with the Rapido couplers, thank you very much. But it'd be handy if I get, say, let's say a freight wagon comes in with one of these on one end and the other end's missing. Well, yes, I'd probably go to the bother of making up a new one. Other than that, no thanks. I'll keep these just for, as I said, an emergency. But I wouldn't normally want to go into these type of couplers. I haven't yet tried how to work with decoupling magnetically. Again, that's something maybe for the future. Right, this wasn't meant to be a review of these, by the way. I just happened to have them. I thought I'd try them out, and that's really all it is. My conclusion: it's horses for courses, I suppose. If you like them, good. If you don't like them, stay with Rapidos. If you need to install them, be wary with these springs. I think life's too short. With that, take care, people. Enjoy the rest of your modelling. It's a lovely day outside, so I'm just going to put this to bed, get myself a nice cup of coffee and a biscuit, and I'm going to sit in the sunshine. So take care and enjoy. Bye for now. But the one thing I noticed was it has these variously called knuckle dusters. Sorry, holding it gingerly. I don't want to lose these little things. I've only got one spare. Oops.